Good morning, everyone. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's take a few moments to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position. I'm on a beach towel this morning, where you can set your back into a nice long stretch. Open your diaphragm, open your heart. When you're comfortable, gently close your eyes. Soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. Soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle. Breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes. For this morning's intention, if you'd like to think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day, please do so. And this morning's intention I'd like to talk about is the first of the Niyamas. The first two limbs of yoga, the Yamas, which we explored previous weeks, are all about how to interact with the world, how you would interact with the world. And Niyamas are about how you would interact with yourself, more internal. And their intentions to practice even before you set foot on the mat. So that's why when you look at the 8 limbs of yoga, it's yamas first, niyamas second, and then third is the asanas, the actual poses. So the first niyama is Saucha, and that is Sanskrit for cleanliness, purity, and clarity. Saucha is about removing stuff to come to the essence of something. And again, cleanliness, purity, clarity, we are removing stuff to come to the essence of something. So today we're going to actually focus more on clarity than on cleanliness and purity. So the underwriting goal of yoga is, all 8 limbs of it, is to still the mind, basically removing stuff like the chatter in your mind, and then bring you to more clarity. So it's about discovering your own self, whether it be through your intuition, your own essence of who you are. So for pranayama, the breathing techniques that we learn help to still the mind. That's a lot of what their benefit is. But some, like the one we're going to do today, has an additional benefit. Today we're going to practice Sitali, which is called the cooling breath, because it is warm, and hopefully this you can employ throughout the practice if you're hot, or through the rest of the summer. It helps to lower your internal body temperature. So we've done it before, but to recap, what you would do is to curl your tongue like a hot dog bun, and then inhale through your tongue like you're drawing in through a straw, and then you would shut your mouth and exhale through your nose, so the heat goes out through your nose. And if you're not able, some people aren't able to curl their tongue like a hot dog bun, you could just kind of place your tongue a little bit outside your lip, like a dog, not, too far out, just, outside, and draw in that way. And let's practice that a little bit, either way, either curling your tongue or not, and feel that coolness coming in. And it's hot, it's sticky, but it does work. And that's something that you can actually do. We're back to wearing masks again in a lot of places. So you can actually do that under your mask. I tried it yesterday and it did work. Not quite as effectively without the mask, but it did cool me off a little bit, even with a mask on. So let's just practice for a few moments. And you would use that complete breath from your tummy on up through your ribs and your chest. Anybody feeling a little bit cooler than they were moments ago? Great. All righty. So for this morning's meditation, I just want to focus again on the clarity part. I've mentioned before, Eckhart Tolle, he uses a different term for meditation. He calls it the space of awareness. And his point is that we spend most of our time on a horizontal plane, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, and just kind of going from one direction to the other. And his idea of space of awareness is to have it on a vertical plane so that you are in the now. And ultimately, the awareness of self and the clarity of self will become apparent. And that stillness, and that space of awareness, is what we're striving for, that peace and that stillness, so that our intuition or our sixth sense will speak to us and help to guide us. There is a mudra that's called Buddhi, Buddhi, and that is taking the pinky and the thumb, bringing it together and extending the other three fingers up higher. And actually, I think you bring the end of your pinky to the end of your thumb and try to get your fingers straight. And that helps to declutter the mind and enhances our connection to our intuition. And there's a quote from Albert Einstein. He, besides being an amazing scientist, was quite the spiritual philosopher too. There's several of his quotes that I just kind of blow me away, that he can think both, very analytically and then very spiritually too. He said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." I thought that was, and that's, for when he had discoveries or deep scientific thoughts, his explanation is that they just kind of came from him, kind of intuitively from him. So it's definitely a gift to be able to have that intuition speak to you, but also to listen to it and to act on it. So let's take a few moments to get in a nice, comfortable position to meditate. If you want to employ the Buddhi mudra, you can do that. You can lie it on your knees, and I will meet you on the mat. You may open your eyes now. If you're on a blanket or a cushion, you can remain there for the next few asanas. So we're going to start by just doing our shoulder shrugs. And I don't know if I've ever shared with you, you just kind of roll gently your shoulders, you know, rotate them up and down softly. But when I have my opening, take a moment to get present, and I say soften your shoulders, and you might wonder, like, why that body part? And the shoulders, they carry a lot of the weight of the world, you know, that phrase, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. We do that, carrying that weight of the world or carrying the weight of our own world a lot on our shoulders. So it's always good to just soften them, realize that they don't have to hold that burden. And by shrugging them, it's just kind of shrugging off, you know, any of that tension or any of that weight that you may feel from time to time. So you can do the opposite direction. And then we're going to do some sun breaths, and you can either do a deep breath or the Ujjayi breath, the Darth Vader sound, or ocean breath, since it's nice summertime, or this Sitali that we just did to, you know, if you're still feeling a little hot, try to work on having yourself remain cool. And you can, again, employ that for the whole session today. So inhaling, bringing your fingertips to the mat, and then inhaling deeply, bringing your arms up overhead. And then exhale, bringing your arms down. Inhale, bringing your arms up. Exhale, arms come back down. Inhale, bring your arms up. Exhale, bring your arms back down. Trying to do both at the same time, the Sitali and bringing my arms up. It's like patting my head and rubbing my stomach at the same time. Right, we'll try again. And one last time. And bring your hands down. Big exhale. We'll do some seated sun twists. So again, bring your arms up with a big inhale. Twist to the left side of your mat, bringing your right hand down on your left knee and your left hand behind your hips on the mat. And exchange, gaze over to the left side of your mat. And deep inhale and a deep exhale. Then inhale, sweep your hands up, and exhale, twisting over to the right side, bringing your left hand on your right knee, your right hand behind your hip. Deep inhale and deep exhale. And inhale, bring your hands up, sweeping them up overhead. Twist to the left side of your mat, bring your hands down. Gaze to the left. Deep inhale and deep exhale. Inhale, sweeping your hands up overhead. Exhale, twisting to the right, bringing your hands down. Gaze to the right. Inhale and exhale. Now we're going to actually do this with a flow and not stop. So inhale, sweeping your hands up overhead. Twist to the left, bring your hands down, and then right again, inhale, bring them back up, inhaling and exhaling, bringing them back down as you twist to the right. So we're just going to keep flowing from right to left, Inhaling on with bringing our hands up, exhaling, bring our hands down. And continue that flow for a few moments. Synchronizing your breath to the movement. And when you're ready, you can meet me right back in the center. Then you remove your blanket, we'll roll down onto the mat. You can roll down one vertebrae at a time or express way, just like roll back quickly. Then bring your knees to your chest, give them a nice gentle hug, and then rock back and forth. Give your lower back a nice massage. And then we're going to make big circles with our big toes, big full moons, just rotating in one direction this time. And then bring our feet to the mat and slide our feet all the way to the end of the mat. Come into recline Shavasana, Jim, for you, or recline mountain pose. If you like to do the recline mountain pose, you can flex your feet so your toes are pointing up to the sky. Legs are nice and strong and straight. Lower back is kind of coming down, tucking your navel to your spine so you can lower your lower back toward the mat. Relax your shoulders so they roll back onto the mat, elongating your spine and your back neck. Crown of your head is reaching up to the top of the mat. We'll take our right foot and slide the sole of our right foot on up to the point where we make a figure 4. So your sole of your foot might be resting on the side of your left knee, and the right knee is pointing to the right side of the mat. It may be on the mat, or it might be just elevated slightly, whatever works for your body type. And you can stay here in this figure 4, or if you'd like to go into recline pigeon, you bring your right ankle and lie it on top of your left thigh, just above the kneecap, and then slide your left foot up. So your right knee's again still pointing to the right side of the mat. Your right foot's flexed, and the right ankle's resting on your left thigh. And you can stay here if you like, or if you want, you can elevate your left foot, interlacing your fingers behind your left thigh, bringing your left leg toward your chest. And you can relax here, or not relax, but stay here. Both feet are flexed. Or one more step, you can interlace your fingers in front of your shin, guiding your left leg toward your chest for a real big stretch. And just breathe deeply into this pose, inviting it into your body in any way that feels right for you. The more I breathe into it, a little less tension I feel in it. And then release your right foot, bring your knees to your chest and give them a nice hug. And rock back and forth again to lower, massage your lower back. And then take your big toes and make circles, but go in the opposite direction of what you did earlier. So you have your pointing your toes, making this nice big circle. And then come back and put your feet on the mat and slide them to the front of your mat. Come into reclined mountain pose. Your feet are flexed so that your toes are pointing up to the sky. Lower back is reaching toward the mat. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled and supported by the mat. Then we'll take our left foot, the sole of our left foot, slide it up the inner part of our right leg to the point it creates a figure four. Probably rest on your knee, close to your knee. Your left kneecap is pointing to the left side of the mat. And you can stay here for a few breaths. And then place your left ankle on top of your right thigh, just above the kneecap, and slide your right foot up, placing your right foot on the mat. Left knee still pointing to the right side, left side of your mat, and you can perhaps guide it a little bit with your hand. And then for a little bit more stretch, you can interlace your fingers behind your right thigh, guiding your right leg toward your chest. And then more stretch if you're able to do that. If your body's okay this morning with that. Interlace your fingers around your shin and guide your leg to your chest. Deep breaths. And then release your left leg, bring your knees to your chest. We'll interlace your fingers and wrap them around your left knee. Hold that comfortably in your hand. And we're going to extend our right leg up so that the sole of your foot is reaching up to the sky. And then if you'd like to try a little bit more of a stretch, pretend that you are stepping on the cloud up in the sky. So you can push your heel up and try to straighten your leg so as if you're stepping onto this cloud. And bring that leg back to knees to chest. Give a nice gentle hug. And we'll do that with the other side. So interlace your hands around your right knee, holding it gently. Extend your left foot so the sole of the foot's reaching up to the sky. And then if you're able to, stretch it out as if you're stepping onto the cloud. And bring that back, knees to chest, give a nice gentle hug. And then back to the other leg, interlace your fingers around the left knee again. Extend your right foot up so the sole of your foot's reaching to the sky. And we're going to take our right foot and send it down toward the floor or the mat or ground and stop at the 1 o'clock position. Your feet are flexed. And then bring it down, stop at the 2 o'clock position. And bring it back to the 1 o'clock. And then back to 12 o'clock. Bring your knee back to your chest and give both knees a nice gentle hug. And we'll do that on the other side. So interlace your fingers on your right knee. Send the sole of your left foot up to the sky. Drop your left foot down to the 11 o'clock position. And then the 10 o'clock position. See if you can pretend you're still stepping on that cloud, pushing your heel into it. And then bring your foot back to the 11 o'clock position. And then the 12 o'clock position. Bring that knee back to your chest and give your knees a nice gentle hug. Then we're going to roll up so you can put your hands underneath your knees and start a rock and roll effort to come back up. Or you can lean over to one side or the other, your favorite side, and come up. And we're going to come up into a tabletop position. So set your hands on your mat with your fingers spread wide. Getting an equal distribution of weight in both hands. Wrists are right below your shoulders. Knees are below your hips. Navel's tucked to your spine. And we're going to do some cat cows. So, let's see. Exhale, rolling your back. Rounding your back rather, dropping your head and your pelvis down. Inhale, lift your head and tailbone up for cow. Round your back, dropping your head and tailbone down for cat. Inhale, lift your head and tailbone up for cow. Drop your head and tailbone down, rounding your back for cat. And then continue at your own pace, synchronizing your breath to the movement, whichever breath you want to work with. And today, just see if you can find the stillness in each move, focusing on your breath, having your mind not be cluttered with a lot of thoughts. Just find that stillness either through your breath or the movement. And from that stillness, the clarity. And then come back to a neutral spine, back to tabletop. And spread your knees out to the edges of your mat, bringing your big toes together. Lower your hips to your ankles for a wide-legged child's pose. And you can keep your hands stretched out to the top of the mat. And just give your body a nice big stretch. Walk your hands back up, back to tabletop. Tuck your toes under and walk your hands toward your feet, coming up into squat, then pushing down into your feet to come up to mountain. We'll just go quickly through the essentials of mountain for good posture. This is good posture essentials as well. So your toes are pointing straight to the edge of the mat. Legs are nice and straight. Soft bend in your knees. Navel's tucked to your spine. Shoulders are relaxed, rolled back. Your spine is, back of your neck's nice and long. Top of your head's reaching to the sky. We lift our toes up off the mat and bring them back down, lifting our heels up off the mat and bring those back down. Inhale, sweeping our hands up overhead. Exhale into forward fold, deeply bend your knees, bringing your hands to the mat. And take a moment to check in. Inhale, sweep your hands up to your shins, flatten out your back so it's nice and straight, into half forward fold, gaze is down. And then drop the crown of your head down toward the mat for forward fold. Then sweep your hands from the mat all the way up overhead. And then come back up onto your tippy toes for palm tree. And we'll sway in the lack of breeze that there is today. Do our own breeze. And then come back down, sweeping your hands back down to the mat. Bending your knees is what works for you to support your lower back. Inhale, sweeping our hands up our shins, straightening out our back, making it nice and flat. Half forward fold. And then dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat, forward fold. And sweep our hands from the mat all the way up overhead. Keeping them up overhead, do some supported side stretches. So drop your right hand to your right thigh. Slide your right hand down toward your right knee. And come back up, inhale. Bring your hands together, drop your left hand down to your left thigh. Slide it toward your left knee. And then back up. Bringing hands back together, dropping your right hand down, sliding it toward your left or right knee. Inhale, come back up. And last on the left side, dropping your left hand down, slide it to your left knee. And then inhale, come back up. Exhale, forward fold. Bending at the knees, coming down. Inhale, coming up to half forward fold, flat back, gaze down. Exhale, forward fold, dropping the crown of your head toward the mat. Inhale, sweeping your hands from the mat up overhead. Bringing the palms together and then bringing your palms to your heart center. We're going to lift our right leg up. So find the stability in your left leg and lift your right leg up. And if you're able to, you can interlace your fingers around your right knee and pull that up to your chest. experiment a little bit with your stability. Find the stillness in this pose. You can employ a drishti, a focal point, to help you be still. And then drop your right leg down. We'll do that with the left leg. So bring it up so that you're as if you're sitting in a chair, and you can stay there. Again, find that stability and the stillness. Or you can interlace your fingers around your knee and bring the knee up to your chest. We often do this pose on our backs. It's a little easier on our backs. Then bring that leg down. Sweep our hands up overhead again. Big inhale, big exhale, forward fold. Bending at the knees, supporting your lower back. Inhale, sweep up to half forward fold, straightening out your back. And exhale, forward fold, dropping the crown of your head toward the mat. And inhale, sweeping your hands all the way from the mat up overhead. Palms come together, palms come to heart center. And then we'll bring our palms to the back of our hips for supported back bend. Your feet are hip width apart. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is tucked to the chest. And then just gently drop your shoulders back. And then come back up again. We'll do a couple of sun breaths, so you can use whatever breath you want. If you're warm at this point, you can use the Sitali breath. So we'll do a few of those. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, and then exhale. We're going to take our, stay on our left leg and bring our right leg up like we just did a moment ago. And then, whoa, extend it to the back and mindfully place it down, place your toes down on the mat. So it could be 1 foot back or 2 feet back, whatever's comfortable for you, and that you can feel stable and still in that pose. And then bring that right leg back to join the left leg. We'll do that 2 more times. So lift your right leg up and then extend it back, maybe a little further this time if you're able to. Get to the point where you feel nice and stable and still. And then bring it back to join your left foot. And one last time, lift it up and extend it back. Maybe go back further. You can pivot your foot down to support your pose. And we're actually gonna turn to the right and come into wide-legged stance. So you're halfway there. And in wide-legged stance, your toes are going to be pointing up to the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in at a 45-degree angle. And if you're able to feel it or move your feet comfortably into this position, if your feet are right below your wrists, that's kind of where you're aiming for. And the further out you go, the less stable you're going to be. So just bear that in mind. And we're going to bend our knees and lift our arms up to the sky for goddess. Navel's tucked in. So you're kind of tucking your pelvis under, about to sit down on a seat. Exhale, arms come down, legs straighten. Inhale, sweep your hands up. Try to point your knees toward the corners of the mat so you can see your big toe. That'll rock your stability a little bit. See if you can become stable and still with adjustments. And then come back up, exhale. And one last time, inhale. See if you can bring your pelvis down a little bit further, sitting position. See if you can see your big toes. And then come back up. We're going to pivot our left foot so it's pointing to the top of the mat. Swing our right foot around. Bend our left knee, come into warrior two position. So the left knee is right over the left ankle. You should be able to see your big toe. The knee's pointing to the second and third toes. Back edge of your foot's nice and snug into the mat. Pushing down to your feet and kind of pushing out. Feel that strength, that action in your muscles engage. Chest is facing toward the left and long side of your mat, or right side of your mat. And sweep your arms up to shoulder height. Gently turn your head to left. To gaze at your left fingertips. And just check in on your pose. Invite that pose into your body. Maybe you want to relax your shoulders a little bit. Maybe tuck your navel to your spine a little bit. Opening your chest. Grounding down in your feet. So you're feeling that stability and strength in your legs. And then straighten out your left leg and reach your left arm up overhead for reverse warrior or peaceful warrior. And then come back down to warrior two, bending the knee. Arms are nice and straight, gazes to the left fingertips. And then straighten out the left knee again, keeping your hands at where they are. We're going to reach forward. We're going to go into triangle pose. So reach forward like you're grabbing something off the shelf, and then drop your left hand down. I like to drop it on my leg and then slide it down my leg while reaching my right arm up to the sky. And you can send your gaze up to your right hand if you're comfortable with that. Come back up. Come back into warrior two. And then drop your left arm down onto your left thigh, swinging your right hand over and to the front of the mat for extended side angle. And drop your right hand down to the mat. Come into runner's lunge by pivoting your back foot. Place your right hand down on the mat and sweep your left hand up to the sky. You can send your gaze up to your left hand if you're comfortable. Engage your legs, feel the strength in your legs here. And bring your left hand back down to the mat. Then we're going to push down into our left foot. So that's bearing the weight, and bring the right foot up to join it. Coming into forward fold. And then sweeping our hands from the mat all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to your heart center. And we'll do tree pose. So with your left leg as the support, lift your right leg up as we did earlier. And you can bring it down so your toes are touching the mat and your heels touching your left ankle. That's tree pose. Or you can bring your foot to the shin. That's tree pose. Have your right knee pointing to the right side of your mat. Or you can bring it all the way up to your thigh. Find your focal point. Envision being a tree in the forest, the still forest protected by all the other trees around you. Just find that place of stillness. And bring your right leg back down to the mat. We'll do a few more sun breaths. The inhale, you can use the Sitali breath. Pull off a little bit. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to face this direction. So lifting your left leg up, you're going to bring your left leg behind you and mindfully place it behind you. Try to find the stability in this, the stillness in this pose. And you can have your hands, either prayer mode or on your side, whatever works for you. The arms aren't that important. But you may need them to help balance you in a certain way, so that's where they become important. And bring your left foot back to your right. We'll do that 2 more times. So lift your left leg up, extend it behind you, maybe a little further back. And then bring it back to your right foot. And one last time, lift it up. And this time, see how far back you can extend it. You may want to pivot it down for stability. And then pivot so that you come into the wide-legged stance again. Toes are pointing up to the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in, 45 degrees. And remember our essentials of mountain posture, so that the navel's tucked to the spine, shoulders are relaxed and rolled back, crown of the head's reaching up to the sky. Sweep our hands up with an inhale, bending our knees, coming down to sit. And then look to see if your knees are pointing to the corners. Maybe you can see your big toes, tucking your pelvis under by bringing your navel to your spine. And exhale, come back up. Inhale, sweep your hands up, bending your knees, lowering your hips down. Inhale, come back up. And one last time. Inhale, lowering your hips, bending your knees. And exhale, come back up. Pivot your right foot so it's facing the top of the mat. Pivot your left foot so it's at an angle. Right knee's bent over your right ankle. Back edge of your left foot snug into the mat. kind of generate some energy to push down and out in your legs, create stability. Chest is facing the long side of your mat. Sweep your arms up to shoulder height and slowly turn your head to look at your right fingertips. And then straighten your right leg out, lifting your right arm up for peaceful warrior. And send your gaze up to your hand. And then come back down to warrior two. Keeping your arms where they are, straighten your right leg out and stretch your right hand forward as if you're picking something off the shelf. And then drop that hand down. I like to drop it to my leg and slide it down for triangle pose. Reaching my left hand up to the sky, sending my gaze up to it. And then come back up. Come back into warrior two. Drop your right arm down to your right thigh, sweeping your left hand overhead and then to the front of the mat for extended side angle. Your chest is nice, open. And then bring that left hand down to the mat. Pivot your back foot coming into runner's lunge. Plant your left hand into the mat and sweep your right hand up to the sky. And you can follow your hand with your gaze. And bring your right hand back down. Push down into your right foot to lift your left foot up and bring it to meet your right foot. Forward fold. Inhale, sweeping your hands from the mat all the way up overhead. And we'll come into tree pose on the other side. So your right leg will be on the mat and stable, lifting your left leg up. And you can bring it back to the mat with your toes on the mat and your heel on your ankle, or to your shin, or all the way up to your thigh. What we're trying to achieve in this pose is the stillness that you would feel as a tree in the forest. And with a little bit of breeze, the trees do sway. So if you're swaying, you are a perfect tree. And bringing your leg down. Come into a wide-legged squat. So bring your pinky toes to the edges of the mat. Bring your hands to heart center and lower your hips down toward the mat, bringing your torso between your legs and your elbows resting against the inner part of your knees. You want to bring your hands closer to the mat. That will stretch out your legs just a little bit further. And then come down, place your sit bones on the mat. We'll come into staff pose. So staff pose, your feet are flexed, toes pointing up to the sky. You want to make little fists and push down into the mat. Lift your hips up and settle them down. You can feel your sit bones a little bit better. Then bring your right leg up, cross it over the left leg so that your right foot is right next to the outer part of your left knee. We're going to take our right hand, place it right next to our right foot. So it's on the inner part of our right foot. And then take our left hand, bring it around our back, close to our hips. And if you want a little bit more twist, you can actually leverage your elbow against your inner part of your left or your right knee. Make sure that your right knee doesn't get too cockeyed. Have it straight up, and then push toward that. So you're leveraging and twisting a little bit harder to the left. Maybe you can send your gaze over your left shoulder. And then come back to staff pose. We'll do that on the other side. So your left foot crosses over your right leg, comes to rest next to the outer part of your right knee. Your left hand comes to the inner part of your right foot on the mat. Send your right hand behind you. And this is a sage pose. Or if you want a little bit more twist, you can again use your elbow to leverage against your knee. Make sure that your knee is strong and supporting that. And then twist, looking over your right shoulder. And then come back to center. We'll roll down on the mat, either one vertebrae or express. I'm going express right now. And for the last pose, if you have a wall nearby, what we're going to do is legs up the wall or supported shoulder stand, be either one. So legs up the wall, you would take a cushion or a blanket. And if you don't have that close by, you can make fists with your hands and put the fists under your hip bones and send your legs up the wall. And it's a relaxing inversion pose, providing that you have the wall there. It's relaxing this way too, but it's so much more relaxing when you're resting your legs on the wall. This is what I use if I kind of get a sore back from gardening. I'll do this for about 5, maybe 10 minutes, and my back feels so much better after. And if you want a little bit more, you can use your hands, push your hips up, and walk your hands along your back and come up into a supported shoulder stand. And then bend your knees and come back down to the mat and prepare for Shavasana. You can just relax your whole body, let your feet flop open. Take some deep breaths, maybe a Sitali breath, cool you off a little bit here. Let the nutrients of today's practice soak deep within you. And Shavasana is about stillness. It's not actually a go to sleep pose. It's about being able to be still and peaceful and resting. I have a quote today from the Reverend Martha Postelwaite. She says, "Create a clearing in the dense forest of your life and wait there patiently until the song that is your life falls into your own cupped hands and you recognize and greet it." So when you're ready, you can roll over to your favorite side